My beloved child, listen carefully because what I am about to share with you tonight is not something ordinary. This message reached you for a special reason. Out of millions of people endlessly scrolling, somehow your eyes paused right here. That was not an accident at all. And before this video ends, you are going to understand why someone in your life has been acting distant, confused, and silent, yet still unable to walk away from you. Do not skip any part. Stay until the end because something very important is waiting for you. There is a person, a very specific person, who truly loves you more deeply than you realize right now. They think about you when everything around them becomes quiet. They replay your words again and again in their mind. They look for signs from you without even admitting it to themselves. And yet there is one thing holding them back. One thing they are struggling to fully accept. It is somehow connected to your appearance. But before your heart starts to feel fear or your mind begins to create painful stories, listen carefully, because the truth is much deeper than what you think at first. This is not about perfection or beauty standards that the world keeps pushing on everyone. This is not about what others told you to become over time. No, this is about something more emotional, something hidden beneath the surface of things. If you have ever felt someone pulling away because of how you look, pause for a moment and understand this. The surprising truth is that the very thing they struggle to accept is actually the same thing that is making them fall in love with you even more every single day that passes. Yes, you heard that correctly. Do not skip, because what you are about to understand may change the way you see yourself. This person notices things that nobody else notices about you. While others only see your smile, they notice the sadness quietly hidden behind it. While others hear your laughter, they sense the exhaustion underneath it. While others glance at your appearance and move on, this person studies every small detail as if it carries meaning. And that truth shakes them deeply inside, because loving you feels intense and overwhelming. You carry a presence that makes people feel emotionally exposed without you even trying. You make others confront feelings they usually avoid. And what they are struggling with is not truly physical in nature. It is what your presence reveals about them on a deeper, emotional level. Maybe it is the tiredness in your eyes that reflects your journey. Maybe it is the way you hide pain behind strength every day. Maybe it is the quiet insecurity you think no one notices. But they notice everything, and it affects them more than they can explain. They were not prepared for someone like you to enter their life so suddenly. They expected simple connections, temporary moments, surface-level conversations, and predictable emotions. Then you arrived, and suddenly nothing felt simple anymore. There are nights when they look at your pictures longer than they should. Not to judge you, but because they are trying to understand why your face brings out emotions they cannot explain. One part of them wants to come closer to you, while another part steps back out of fear because your presence feels real, and real emotions are scary for someone who has spent years hiding behind emotional walls. Listen carefully now, because this is important. The thing they struggle to accept is not that you are imperfect. It is that you are real in a world that often feels fake. In a world full of filters, performances, forced confidence and artificial smiles, your energy stands out as something genuine. And that authenticity forces people to look at themselves honestly. That is why this connection feels so strong. That is why they come closer and then suddenly pull away. That is why their behavior changes without explanation. Every time they look at you, they feel something inside that they cannot control. And what happens next is something you may not expect. Slowly, the resistance inside them is beginning to break. The walls they built around their emotions are starting to crack. But before that moment fully arrives, something unexpected will happen between you two. A small conversation, a brief moment, a simple silence that looks normal on the outside, but changes everything on the inside. And when it happens, you will finally understand why they acted the way they did all along. Deep down, they were afraid. Afraid that loving you would expose their own insecurities. Afraid that your honesty would reveal emotional wounds they never healed. Afraid that someone as real as you could see through every layer they tried to hide behind. Do not skip now, because you are getting closer to the truth. This person remembers small details about you that even you may have forgotten. The way your expression changes when you are holding back tears. The way your eyes look away when you feel hurt. The way your face softens when someone finally understands you. These details replay in their mind constantly, and it confuses them because they never expected to feel this deeply about someone. Love does not ask for permission before entering the heart. It arrives quietly but strongly, and now they are caught between resisting you and being pulled toward you. But here is the deeper truth. What they struggle with is connected to something from their past. You awaken emotions they thought were gone long ago, not because you did anything wrong, but because your presence touches something inside them they never fully healed. That is why they sometimes go silent. That is why they seem distant at times. It is not rejection. It is emotional overwhelm mixed with feelings they cannot control. And the moment they finally accept this truth, everything inside them will begin to shift. Very soon, they will stop fighting what they feel. The emotional walls they built will continue to break down slowly and quietly. And when that happens, their actions, their energy, and their silence will all change. Because deep inside, they already know one truth they cannot escape. They cannot replace you. No one else makes them feel the way you do. No one else reaches their emotions this deeply. Even while they struggle, their heart is already leaning toward you. And everything is now moving toward one final realization. They will have to choose whether to keep hiding from their feelings or finally accept what has been growing inside them all along. That they love you deeply and completely, not despite what confuses them about your appearance, but in a way that is connected to it. There is something they have never said out loud, something they hide every time they look at you, and now you are finally beginning to understand why. Around others, they seem calm and controlled, but when it comes to you, their emotions become unstable. Their thoughts become louder, their heart becomes heavier, and one small detail about your appearance keeps pulling them in over and over again. This connection is far more intense than you realize. Every time they see you, something inside them changes, and even when they try to step away, your presence stays with them. It follows them in silence, in distance, and even in denial. Because what they feel for you is no longer something they can fully escape. And now a shift has already begun. Their resistance is weakening day by day. Their emotions are growing stronger, and very soon they will have to face the truth completely. Either they continue hiding what they feel, or they finally admit what their heart has already chosen. They notice details nobody else notices at all. The softness in your expression when you pretend everything is fine. The hidden loneliness behind your confidence. The silent emotions your face reveals without words. And it scares them because they understand this is not ordinary attraction. This is emotional recognition at a very deep level. Stay until the end, because what comes next will leave you speechless. There are moments when this person tries to convince themselves they can move on from you. They distract themselves with other things. They stay busy so they do not think about you. They force conversations with other people around them. But somehow, every path still leads back to you again. Why does this keep happening? Because your presence carries something they cannot replace easily. Not perfection, not fantasy, but reality in its purest form. You feel real to them, and real emotions are rare in this world. Do you know what scares people the most? Not rejection, not distance, not silence. It is meeting someone who reaches their soul in a way they cannot explain. That is what happened when they met you. Your presence touched parts of them they thought no one would ever understand. And now they cannot escape it, no matter how hard they try. Do not skip. Something important is waiting for you. This person remembers the first moment they truly noticed you. Maybe you thought it was normal at the time. Maybe you thought nothing special happened that day. But for them, everything changed in that single moment. They saw something in you that felt deeply familiar to their heart. A quiet sadness, a gentle energy, and a silent strength all at once. And without warning, their heart became emotionally attached to you. That is why they look at you differently from others. That is why their eyes sometimes hesitate. That is why their energy shifts around you without explanation. Because your presence brings up emotions they buried long ago. Listen carefully now, because this part matters more than you think. What they struggle to accept is directly connected to how deeply they already care about you. If they did not feel something for you, none of this would affect them so strongly. But it does, every single day, and they are trying hard to hide it. Sometimes they pull away because your energy feels too emotional for them to handle. Not beauty in a normal sense, but emotional beauty. The kind that cannot be explained in words. The kind that stays in someone's mind at midnight. The kind that returns in silence and never fully leaves. Very soon, this person may reveal emotions they have been hiding for a long time. Not directly at first. It may come through small actions, a message, a look, or a moment of honesty they did not plan to show. But when it happens, you will finally understand something important. They were never judging you. They were struggling with their own feelings. They were trying to protect themselves from becoming emotionally vulnerable, because deep down, they already know you are different from anyone they have ever met. And once someone realizes that, there is no easy way to go back. This person also worries that you do not see your own worth clearly. They notice how hard you are on yourself. They notice the insecurities you hide behind your smile. They notice the moments you avoid attention because you fear being misunderstood. And every time they see that, their feelings grow stronger, because your imperfections make you real, and your realness makes you unforgettable to them. Do not skip now. The biggest truth is still coming. Late at night, when everything is quiet, this person keeps asking themselves one question again and again. What if I lose them? That thought stays in their mind more than they admit. Because despite confusion, despite fear, despite emotional resistance, their heart has already chosen you, and they know it clearly. That is why your presence affects them so deeply. Not because it is perfect, but because it feels emotionally honest. You remind them that love is not about perfection on the outside. It is about being understood. And you make them feel understood in a way no one else ever has. Something huge is waiting for you because the distance between you is not permanent. The silence is not permanent either. Confusion will not last forever. A turning point is coming soon. And when that moment arrives, this person will stop pretending they are unaffected by you. They will stop hiding behind emotional walls. They will stop running from this connection. Because some people enter your life for a season, but others enter your soul forever. Whether they admit it now or later, you already became unforgettable to them. That is the truth they can no longer escape. You were never meant to hear this so early, but the signs have become impossible to ignore. There is someone watching your silence more closely than your words. Someone pretending to stay distant while secretly becoming more attached to you every day. And now, the hidden reason behind their behavior is coming to the surface. And even after all of this, there is still something deeper unfolding beneath what they show on the surface. Because what you see from them is only the controlled version. The version that has learned how to hide emotions behind silence, distance, and simple behavior. But what they feel when it comes to you is not simple at all. It does not follow rules, and it does not stay quiet just because they want it to. There are moments when your name appears in their thoughts without warning. It is not something they plan or invite. It just happens, like a reflex of the heart. And in those moments, everything else becomes less important. Their focus shifts, even if they are busy, even if they are surrounded by people, even if they are trying to act like nothing is going on inside them. Because something inside them responds to you in a way they cannot fully control. They may try to convince themselves that it is nothing serious. They may try to tell themselves that it is just admiration or passing emotion. But deep down, they already know the truth. What they feel is not temporary. It has been building slowly, quietly, and persistently over time, until it became something they can no longer ignore. And what makes it even more complicated for them is the way you exist in their mind without effort. You are not trying to impress them. You are not trying to stay in their thoughts. You are simply being yourself. And somehow, that is exactly what stays with them the most. Your natural presence becomes something they return to mentally again and again, especially in moments when everything else feels empty or unclear. There are nights when their thoughts become heavier than usual. Nights when they cannot fully explain why they feel restless or emotionally unsettled. And in those moments, it is not random memories that appear. It is you. Not in a loud or dramatic way, but in quiet fragments. The way you looked at a certain moment, the way your expression changed without effort, the way your presence felt honest even when nothing was being said. They replay these moments without realizing they are doing it. It is not a conscious choice anymore. It has become something their mind naturally returns to. And the more they try to understand it, the less control they feel they have over it. Because emotions like this do not follow logic. They grow in silence and become stronger in absence. And perhaps the most difficult part for them is not even the feeling itself, but what it reveals about them. Because you do not just affect how they feel about you. You affect how they see themselves. You make them aware of emotions they thought they had buried or outgrown. You make them question reactions they cannot fully explain. You make them confront a version of themselves that is more emotionally open, more vulnerable, and less controlled than they are used to being. That is why there is resistance. Not because you are wrong for them, but because you are too real for the version of them that is used to emotional distance. You challenge their usual way of staying guarded. You make them feel things they cannot neatly categorize or easily explain. And that creates internal conflict, even when they do not express it outwardly. Still, even with all that resistance, the pull does not disappear. It stays. It continues quietly in the background of their thoughts. And over time, it becomes familiar. What once felt confusing starts to feel natural. What once felt overwhelming starts to feel meaningful. And what once felt like something they should avoid slowly becomes something they find themselves returning to again and again. They may not say this openly, but you have become part of their emotional landscape. Not in a dramatic way, not in a spoken way, but in a silent, consistent presence that they carry with them. Even in moments when you are not physically present, you are still emotionally present in their awareness. And this is where everything begins to shift even more. Because emotional presence is stronger than physical distance. Even when they are not with you, they are not completely away from you either. Something about you remains active in their thoughts, in their reactions, in the way they interpret certain feelings. There are times when they almost feel like they understand what they feel, and then suddenly they do not again. Because emotions like this do not stay fixed. They rise, they fall, they return. And every time they return, they feel a little stronger than before. What makes this connection even more intense for them is the lack of closure inside their own mind. There is no clear beginning they can point to, and no clear ending they can predict. It just exists, growing quietly without permission. And anything that grows without being fully understood naturally creates both attraction and fear at the same time. So they stay in this space between two feelings. One part of them wants clarity, wants understanding, wants to move closer. And another part of them feels unsure, afraid of what happens if they fully allow themselves to feel everything without restraint. This internal division is what creates their silence, their distance, and their emotional unpredictability. But even silence is not empty in this case. Even distance is not absence, because what is unspoken still exists very strongly inside them. It continues to shape their thoughts in ways they do not fully realize. It influences how they react, how they pause, how they remember you even in the middle of ordinary moments. And slowly, without dramatic realization, something begins to settle inside them. A quiet acceptance that this is not something they can simply erase or ignore. It is not something that fades just because they try to move away from it. It stays. It returns. It grows in moments of quiet reflection. And whether they admit it or not, you have become someone they emotionally recognize in a way they cannot replicate with anyone else. That recognition is what keeps pulling them back, even when they try not to think about it. It is what makes them pause when your memory appears. It is what makes them feel something deeper than they expected when they least expect it. So even now, as everything continues to unfold silently between you and them, the truth remains the same. This is not a passing feeling. This is not something that disappears easily. It is something that continues to evolve, quietly shaping both of your emotional worlds in ways that are still not fully understood, but already deeply felt. Do not skip. Stay until the end because something big is unfolding. This person has tried everything to control their feelings. They told themselves it was temporary. They convinced themselves they were imagining the connection. They tried to choose logic over emotion. But every time they see you, everything breaks again. Because there is something about your presence they cannot escape. Not because it bothers them, but because it reaches them too deeply. And the truth they are afraid of is that if they fully accept how much you affect them, they may never be able to let go. Yes, that is what they are hiding. Every time you walk into a room, they feel the shift instantly. They do not even try to stop it anymore. Their eyes search for you automatically. Their emotions react before their thoughts can catch up. And what hurts them most is knowing you probably have no idea about any of this. You think they are calm, but inside there is emotional chaos. The feature they struggle to accept about your appearance is deeply tied to vulnerability. Maybe it is the softness in your eyes. Maybe it is the tired look you sometimes carry. Maybe it is the quiet sadness behind your smile. Whatever it is, it makes them feel protective toward you. And that feeling scares them, because caring deeply also means the risk of getting hurt deeply. That is why they sometimes become distant without explanation. It is not because their feelings are gone. It is because their feelings became too real to control. There are nights when they replay your moments together in their mind, again and again. Not the loud moments, but the small ones. The way you looked away while thinking. The way your expression changed for a second before you hid it again. The way your face showed emotions your words never said. Those moments stayed with them. And no matter how hard they try, they cannot forget them. Because your presence speaks emotional truths without words. That is why they are struggling so much. They were never prepared to meet someone so genuine. The world taught them to expect temporary people, temporary feelings, temporary love. Then you arrived carrying something real. And now their heart does not know how to protect itself anymore. Do not skip. You are getting closer to the biggest truth. This person compares everyone to you without realizing it. They talk to others, they try to distract themselves, but something always feels missing. Because nobody else carries your emotional presence. Nobody else makes silence feel meaningful like you do. Nobody else leaves such a strong memory just by existing. And deep down, they know it. That truth is becoming impossible to ignore. Here is the real revelation. The thing they struggle to accept about your appearance is also what makes them trust you emotionally. Your imperfections make you believable. Your natural emotions make you comforting. Your honesty makes you unforgettable. In a world where everyone tries to appear perfect, you feel real. And that is why they keep coming back emotionally, even when they try to pull away physically. Their soul feels calm around yours. This person is going to reveal emotions they can no longer hide. The signs are already there. Their behavior is changing. Their attention toward you is growing stronger. Their emotional walls are slowly breaking down. And when the truth finally comes out, you will understand every confusing moment. You will understand the silence, the staring, the distance, and the return. It was always emotion. Not surface attraction, but something deeper they could not explain. Something huge is waiting for you. This is not ending in confusion. It is moving toward clarity, toward emotional truth. Toward a moment where they stop fighting what their heart already knows. You became important to them in a way no one else has, and once that level of attachment forms, nothing remains the same. Some people enter your life quietly, but leave permanent marks on your soul. Whether they admit it today or later, one truth remains. Loving you changed them completely.